What up, YouTube? R to the double E dash to the ZON once again. And like I told you, you already seen I uploaded that first collection video, my Mario collection from the days of its inception in the NES era all the way to the Wii U, and all the great games that I have within that collection. So I figured I'd keep the trend going, and I do my next collection video. Before I do jump into that, though, I want to add an addition to my previous video. It just completely slipped my mind. It is one more Mario game that I did not show in that video that I do own, and I'm a great big fan of, and that is Super Mario 3D Land on the Nintendo 3DS. It is such a great game, especially for a handheld Mario. It's amazing, and it was actually the inspiration for Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, which we all know was just banging. But anyways, I just felt like putting that out there. I didn't want to have to redo the entire video just because I forgot that one game, so there you have it. But going on to this next collection, what could this be? This new collection that I'm going to highlight in this video. Could it be a Nintendo franchise that Nintendo fans today are crying and aching for to make a return on the Wii U? Perhaps. Could it be one of the most beloved yet underrated and underappreciated franchises in Nintendo's vault? Possibly. Could it be one of the two main franchises that Shigeru Miyamoto, the gaming boss, said when developing the Wii U, that this is one of the two franchises he wanted to see and wanted to design on this new Nintendo console? Absolutely. So without further ado, I'd like to take you through my Starfox collection. Now here we have the original Starfox, the one that started it all in the very beginning on the Super Nintendo, SNES, baby. And right there you'll see the FX chip being advertised. You know, revolutionary new chipset that Nintendo had come up with that allowed for 3D-like graphics. They weren't 3D per se; they were polygonal shapes and geometric shapes. But when scaled the right way, when put together, when designed the right way, gave the illusion of a three-dimensional effect that had never been achieved before as far as console gaming went. Now, Starfox basically is at that point was a brand new IP Nintendo was bringing out that wasn't your same old Mario or Zelda or Donkey Kong. It was something right out of left field, something brand new, something very sci-fi as far as it was basically a space shooter in a three-dimensional setting on rails, with enemies and obstacles blasting past the screen in 3D. It basically consisted of you playing as the main character, Fox McCloud, in your R-Wing, which was the name of your ship, surrounded by three squad mates, Peppy, Slippy, and Falco. And there was communication between them and the main character, although in the original version of Super Nintendo, since the technology was limited back then, you didn't have actual voice acting, you didn't have actual languages, human languages, you had just a bunch of gibberish. But you could see the text of what they were trying to say. So if they needed help, they'd be like, "Yo, help me out! Get this bogey off my back." You would see the text, but you would hear like, you know, something like that, some real funny gibberish. And you know, at that point, that was still revolutionary, and the game was just so engrossing, and it took you across, I think, about 10 to 12 different levels all across the Lilat system, defending it from the invasion of the evil Andros and his army. So it was a very sci-fi inspired space epic, kind of like a Star Wars. And it did huge on the Super Nintendo. It didn't do Mario or Zelda huge, but it did huge enough to inspire a sequel on the very next console. So we jump to the next console, and that is the godly Nintendo 64, Get In or Get Out, and that is Star Fox 64. Now this game is a classic. It's not just a classic because it's Star Fox. It's a classic because this particular version of Star Fox goes down in history as the best Star Fox ever made. It is essentially a remake. It's not a sequel. It's essentially a remake of the original Super Nintendo game. And it came bundled with a new accessory that set the gaming world on fire. That was one of the main innovations that the Nintendo 64 brought to the table. That is one of the main reasons why the Nintendo 64 is considered the best console of all time by many, including myself. It brought the Rumble Pack. The Rumble Pack was an accessory that you connected to the backside of your N64 controller that gave you force feedback. So for the first time ever in the history of gaming, the player felt what he saw. What was going on the screen, you felt it in your hands. And this added a new sense of immersion and involvement in the game and in the gaming environment. Of course, it took off like hotcakes, and PlayStation had the copy like they always did. But that's neither here nor there. Star Fox 64 was a bad mother, you know what, man. Like I said, a remake of the original, but the graphical overhaul was so significant that it was as if it was a whole new game. The graphical detail in this game, when compared to the Super Nintendo original, is just it's just worlds apart, man. Rich textures, three-dimensional graphics that will make your eyes bleed at that point. Actual English languages and voice actors. So when Fox, when one of Fox's squad mates, like Slippy Toad, needed help getting a bogey off his back, you literally heard him screaming, "Fox, get this guy off my back!" And you would see his picture, you would see the text, but you would hear it in your own language, whether it be English, Japanese, or whatever region you bought it in. And this brought a whole new sense of immersion and realism, and it was just revolutionary, man. And the Star Wolf team makes a showing in the game. The levels are designed beautifully. There's a couple of alternate paths. There's the inclusion now of all range mode, so it's not always on rails. You get to certain boss fights and it opens up all range mode and you can literally fly anywhere you want. I mean, it was such an epic game. It just goes down in the history books as the best Star Fox game ever. From here, the Star Fox train wasn't to be derailed, and we jump into the next system, the Nintendo GameCube. And I know that I'm doing these two particular games coming up now out of order as far as when they were released, but I'm doing that for a reason, because I want to keep the continuity of the actual games, and you'll see what I mean by that. From Star Fox 64, we jump into Star Fox Assault on the Nintendo GameCube, with the revolutionary graphical power at the time of the Cube. And yes, the Cube was a bad system as far as graphical power. I mean, it was a powerhouse. It dwarfed the PlayStation 2 in graphical fidelity and just processing power, and it rivaled, in some cases even surpassed, but for the most part we can call them even, the Xbox original, which was supposedly the most powerful system of that time. The GameCube was right up there with it. And it shows in games like Star Fox Assault and Star Wars Rogue Squadron and other games like that. But anyways, this was a brand new sequel. No more remakes. This was the continuation of the story now. Now we have a brand new enemy threat in the Aperoid alien invasion. These robotic organisms that are invading planets in the Lilat system and consuming them and taking over and just becoming a real problem. And it's basically a brand new war. And you have the Star Fox team back at it with, like I said, amazing, eye-destroying graphics. Okay, the game is amazing as far as the look. Controls silky smooth with that GameCube controller. That's just perfection, man. Great soundtrack, great voice acting, and a couple of missions. Star Fox actually leaves his R-wing and travels on foot and fights with his blaster pistol and machine guns and things of that nature, as far as laser projectile weapons, which added a whole new element to the game. The controls in those sections of the game are a little choppy, so some people like it, some people hate it, but for the most part, the game was amazing, man. The space missions were so epic that I could play through this right now and it'd be like the first time. It was amazing. This is a great Star Fox installment. From there, oh, and by the way, in that game, Peppy Hare is retired. He's no longer as part of the Star Fox team per se. He's not in his own R-wing along with you guys, flying the missions. He actually chills in the mothership, the Great Fox, and gives you orders. Who took his place, might you ask? Well, that would be Crystal, who is the purple fox you see on the cover of this game right there, next to Fox and Cloud. This is Star Fox Adventures. This is where she was introduced as a character for the first time in the series. Star Fox Adventures, I will just go on record right now saying, if you haven't heard me say it before, you obviously haven't watched enough of my videos. It is my favorite game in the entire Nintendo GameCube library. This game had a lot of positive reaction and a lot of negative reaction, because some fans couldn't believe that Nintendo would take their beloved Star Fox and change it from a space combat shooter to an on-foot 3D action-adventure epic, rivaling the Legend of Zelda series. That's what Nintendo and Rare did on Rare's last game on a Nintendo console before they were sold to Microsoft. Take an amazing action-adventure journey, a quest of amazing magnitude, of amazing scale, of expansive worlds and incredible locations, and take Star Fox characters in Star Fox universe and put it into that game with the Legend of Zelda game engine as far as the way the game plays and controls and operates. And what you have is one of the best ever 3D action adventure games ever. From storyline, from combat, from controls, from graphics, from voice acting, level design, the dungeons and all that, this game is a masterpiece. Okay, one thing I gotta say about this game, it has some of the most beautiful level designs, like the world designs, like walking through the grassy meadow that is Thorntail Hollow at the beginning and seeing all the pine trees and the mountains in the background and watching the sun set and the moon rise and the stars come out at night. All that is such an organic, living, breathing world. and just the characters involved in it. The game is awesome, man. It is by far my favorite GameCube game ever. And last but not least, since Star Fox skipped the original Wii and has yet to make an appearance on the Wii U, even though we're hoping and praying, Nintendo doesn't seem to listen these days, I have the handheld Star Fox 64 3D. Basically, it's a remake of the classic Star Fox 64, but on the Nintendo 3DS, which means the 3D effect that the console offers really enhances this game, gives it an amazing field of depth, and it has a whole bunch of brand new graphical enhancements since the 3DS has more powerful hardware than the N64 did back in the day. There's some levels that look like they're completely redone when in actuality it was just a texture swap. But the textures are so much richer and nicer that the game is amazing. Only negative about this Star Fox game is that it has a multiplayer mode that's not online. When the 3DS is so online friendly. But in any case, this is a great distraction when I'm on the road or on long road trips. It's a epic Star Fox game on a handheld system, so I had to get it, man. And that's basically my entire Star Fox collection. It's not much, but there wasn't that many Star Fox games released over the since its creation. Really, I'm probably missing one or two handhelds like on the DS or something like that. But that's why us Nintendo fans are dying for a new Star Fox. We wanted it on the Wii, and it never happened. I don't think Nintendo can afford to not make it happen on the Wii U, especially given the whole third-party situation and the reality that they need to pump out great first-party titles. Star Fox, along with F-Zero and Wave Race and games like that, seem to me perfect candidates for resurgence on the Wii U. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. That's the entire Star Fox collection. What collection will I do next? I don't know. I'm going to keep y'all guessing, man. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment and subscribe. This is what I do, man. I like to get with my subscribers and just express myself, make these videos, and talk about these great games, man. Especially when it comes to retro games, the N64, the Super Nintendo, the GameCube, Sega Dreamcast, Sega Saturn. Retro is really where it's at because no matter what you're playing today and how good it is, one day it will be retro. And you'll look back at it. If it was worth anything, you'll look back at it and want to play it again. And that's what makes it awesome for me. So God bless y'all and stay gaming. Peace.